Hey everyone on the call, thanks very much for joining us under short notice. I wish we could have been there in person today and had everyone together, but circumstances didn't allow that, and thanks for making a bit of time in your day. On behalf of the Perth Wildcats, it's with heavy hearts today that we confirm the resignation of our senior coach, Scott Morrison, for family health reasons, which I'm sure he'll speak to through the course of the day. Scott and Suzanne Morrison are wonderful people. They have done an incredible job in the Perth community. Scott is a wonderful coach, and we are obviously disappointed to have to accept his resignation today from the head coaching position of the Perth Wildcats. However, we totally empathise and understand with the circumstances of the Morrison family, and we respect their wishes. Scott is a loved coach by his players and by our team. I know how hungry he was to come back. But as you would understand, in life, nothing is more important than family, and his circumstances, which are private but dear to the Morrison family, we respect and understand and accept his resignation today. I want to thank, before I hand over to Scott to say a few words, and I'm happy to answer any of the questions on the call of matters more broadly to the Perth Wildcats team. I want to thank our partners over the last month, our staff who have supported the Morrison family, and the Red Army, who have all gone out of their way to make the Morrison family feel at home and comfortable. Scott and Suzanne, like Trevor and Dawn before them, will always be part of the Wildcats family, always welcome at our team and our venue. If we were to be selfish, we're really disappointed today, but we equally accept and understand the circumstances that have led to their decision, one that was thoroughly investigated and exhausted over the last month with the help and support of so many people involved closely with the Perth Wildcats. I'll hand over to Scott now, who will say a few words, and then head of basketball, Danny Mills, myself and Scott are all available for any questions you may have on the call following the procedure. Scott.
Yeah, thanks, Hutchie. Appreciate everyone coming out. Apologize, it hasn't been much sleep on my part the last week or so, but I wanted to read a short statement just to explain, I guess, the situation the best I can. Two things: when I coach, I like to, or maybe I resort to using analogies or stories to get my point across, for better or for worse. And secondly, I always try to be honest, and I think I've been that way in the media during my short time there, also for better or for worse. So I'll just read this statement, and then if there is questions, I'm happy to take them. Again, appreciate your time. When I was a small child, my father, George, took a job as the head coach of the local university program. He was paid only a part-time wage, but worked overtime to build the program into one of the better teams in Canada, despite being in one of the most remote and hardest to recruit to locations. I remember vividly when I was 8 years old, he was selected to be an apprentice coach with the Canadian national team for an entire summer, which is our version of the Boomers. It represented an incredible opportunity to work with the best and to see parts of the world that people from our small fishing village would never dream to see in an entire lifetime. My dad left our home to join the team for a domestic training camp, and then just as the team was about to depart for their overseas games, he apologized to the head coach and called to say he was coming home. He gave up a great coaching opportunity to spend the summer with his young son. He would never get another chance to coach at that level for the rest of his career. Years later, I embarked on my own coaching career, and I would often think back to that time and wonder what the heck was Dad thinking? Or I would say to myself proudly, or in my own mind proudly, I would never make that mistake if I had the chance. And for 30 plus years, it has been basketball and my career that has dictated literally every decision in my life. Just under 3 years ago, I became a father for the first time, and my stubborn mindset began to soften. I'm proud to say that I've worked with some of the greatest players in the game today, but that pride pales in comparison to the joy of watching my kids complete the simplest of tasks, a feeling that I'm sure many parents can relate to. During our time in Perth, it has become evident that our young family would be better served to relocate back to North America. For reasons I would prefer not to publicly disclose, at this time, my wife, Suzanne, and I feel that our children's best chance to thrive is closer to family in a more familiar environment. We, in cooperation with our ownership group and front office, have exhausted every possible avenue to ease our concerns about remaining in Perth. That said, we are making the best decision we can as parents, and I am resigning as the coach of the team effective immediately. Some 36 years after my dad sacrificed a great basketball opportunity for the benefit of his family, I finally am beginning to understand and am making the extremely difficult decision to do the same. During our short time here, I fell in love with our players, our staff, and the city of Perth. It is with great emotion that I make this announcement, but in the end, I feel that I'm doing what is most important in the big picture, which is making a decision that will best help our young children in the short and the long run. I want to sincerely thank Hutchison, Simo, Chris Tan, Danny, and others for the opportunity to coach this incredible club the past season, and more importantly, for the support and understanding that they have extended to our family during this tough time. I wish the staff and players great success next season. I'll be rooting for them to excel regardless of who is the head coach, and I encourage the members and fans to take the same attitude. To the Red Army, I respect your passion for this team. Please rally behind the ownership, the front office, and the coaching staff to provide a united front in your quest to bring a championship back to Perth. Just because something is or someone is new or different doesn't mean that cannot result or lead to great things. What is most important is that all the stakeholders, the staff, the players, the fans, the sponsors, etc., remain united and positive and supportive of each other. When that happens, amazing results will follow. To all of our new friends in Perth, thank you for your hospitality to our family. And thank you for your understanding and respect of this tough decision we have made. We wish the Wildcats nothing but success and prosperity in the future. I appreciate your time. Let me read that.
Thank you, Scott. And once again, on behalf of the Perth Wildcats staff and the broader Red Army, thank you for your honesty and compassion, and for us and our team, and also, more importantly, for the sacrifices that you and Suzanne and the family made during a summer on the road, I think 64 days away, and a really challenging period for your family, both as new residents into Perth, but also more broadly dealing with a family situation that is private to you. More broadly, I know there'll be some questions on the call. Danny Mills is with us also. Danny, did you want to say a couple of words before we open up to some questions?
Yeah, thanks, Hutchie and Scott. Thank you for those statement. On behalf of the staff, players, front office here, again, this is a difficult day for you and Suzanne, and just as difficult for us. Really appreciate all of your efforts that you've put into the last season here, and as difficult as it's been for the team and for everyone. We know it was even more difficult for you guys moving from the other side of the world, and it's a sad day for the club to lose a coach of your caliber and a person of your caliber, but we totally understand your circumstances, and obviously wish you and Suzanne and the family all the best going forward.
Thanks, Danny. Danny's our head of basketball at the Perth Wildcats. If there's any questions on the line, please, if you could identify yourself, and the three of us are available to answer any questions you may have.
It's Scott Craig O'Donoghue at the West Australian. I know it's a private matter, but can we just ask, are your kids okay?
Yeah, no, it's not a life or death situation, but it's I guess, situation that is a crucial time to make sure we make the right moves and get as much support as we can. And, without getting into it, I think it's just best for us to go back and make sure we take care of business with the kids. I think at the end of the day, the choice came down to a potential risk of regret in terms of a parent, and then potential risk in my career, which is what we're choosing. So we're choosing the latter, and that's probably all I really want to say, to be honest about it.
So you've made the decision less than a week after leaving the country. How long did you know, or did you need to speak to your own family back in Canada to make the final decision?
It wasn't anything to do with the family back in Canada. It was just the family in Perth. We've been talking about it for a couple months. Ownership, I really can't say enough about the ownership and the front office. We've been talking about this for a while. They've done everything they can in their power, above and beyond, to try and help us work things out, and they've done a lot. I think it's just a matter of us judging our comfort level and, again, not wanting to take any risks with our kids and choose to take the risks in another facets of life. But I really have a lot of respect and appreciation for what the owners and Danny and the front office have tried to help us with the last little bit. And at the end of the day, I think it'll be a lot tougher for me and a lot worse for me than the team. The team's going to recover and do great. But I will always wonder what would have happened if we could have figured it out and gotten back there.
How much of a toll did the family situation take on you throughout the season, both when you were interstate and when you finally got back?
It was tough when we were away. When we got back, it was great. I mean, that was the last part of the season is the most I've ever been home for a season, and since I met my wife. So that part was great. We loved it in Perth. We said from the first day we got there, this is the nicest place we're ever going to live. So I didn't think it would be that short of a time, but we appreciated the time that we're there. It was really hard to be away. It was really hard to get into the country, and probably the only frustrating thing was when people would maybe say that I didn't really want to be there, because that was the furthest thing from the truth. I think it's the exact opposite. We sacrificed a lot to get there, and we didn't regret it. It's just that things came up while we were in Perth that perhaps it was best to backtrack.
So do you have any concerns that the way that talk that you mentioned about people saying you didn't want to be here, and the fact you don't get the chance to rectify last season, do you feel that's damaged you from a coaching perspective at all?
Well, we were 16-12 last year and spent 9 straight weeks on the road, and I arrived the day before training camp. The day before a preseason game. And we had the second most games lost to injury in the league. So I wouldn't say it was a damaging year coaching wise. People might think that, but the biggest positive for me personally that I'll take from it, other than the amount that I learned, which was a lot, and the relationships that I gained, is the fact that the guys the team wanted me back. And that means a lot, I know it wasn't our best possible outcome of the year, but I think all things considered, we did pretty well. And I don't want to speak for anybody, but I feel like if, the efforts that everyone made to try and keep us around, and the efforts that we made to try and stay ourselves means that it was a good match. It just was the wrong time. Whatever that Shakespeare quote is, star-crossed lovers, didn't work out. It wasn't the right time, but I certainly have a lot of love for the city and the team and the people involved.
G'day, Scott. It's Justin Chadwick here from Australian Associated Press. I just wanted to ask, you touched on your dad, how he never got another chance. I'm guessing you're a bit more confident that you will get another chance. Do you mind talking a bit about your future ambitions, professional-wise, that you hold?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know. We hadn't really put much thought into it. The only things that we've looked into back home have been the stuff that we need to set up for our kids. And once we get today, it's been a tough week. It was tough. It was tough coming to a decision and telling the ownership, and it was tough telling Danny, and it was tough, even tougher telling the players. So I guess we just got to get this behind us and then look forward. There's no sense in looking backwards, but I hope that I can get another chance somewhere. But I was really excited to get the job in Perth, and for good reasons. It was an awesome job. I love being the head coach. I love working with the people there. Like I said, just circumstances that were outside of basketball were the prevailing decision makers in this case.
And I guess you touched on that it worked out that the timing just wasn't right. Could you ever envisage a scenario where later down the track, where your family's more settled and whatnot, that you could potentially come back and coach the Wildcats?
I mean, I'm sure that would go over well with a lot of the fan base after this. No, I mean, like I said, Suzanne and I were saying since the first week we got out of quarantine, we drove to our rental, and we looked at each other and said, "This is the best place we're ever going to live." So we hoped it would be a little bit longer. I'm not sure we ever thought it would be 20 years, but we thought it'd be longer than 1 season, and it's disappointing. But again, it's if it works out for our kids that it was a good move, then we won't look back. But hopefully we can come back and visit, and maybe Perry Lakes will have a job open for me when the kids graduate high school.
No worries. Thanks for that.
Got Ash Nelson here at Channel 10. Just a little bit more sort of on future aspirations. I mean, is coaching basketball where you are now a realistic prospect, just location-wise, or is it going to be something that you look at down the track and you're going to have to sort of go into a different field?
Well, this is the only job I've ever had. I graduated college and took a job with the Dalhousie women's team, and that was 21 years ago. So really hope I don't have to do something else. I'm not sure what I would do. Definitely don't want to go into media after meeting a lot of you people. So I'll try to make it work. There's colleges, there's different things I can do. I think this year, if we get something great, but the most important thing is just getting our kids into a good situation where they can get set up long term, or at least medium term, and then try to make something happen. But maybe I won't be the head coach of the Knicks like I thought I would be when I started coaching, but I still feel pretty good that I can have a career in coaching for sure.
Is and return to NBA a realistic prospect for you at the moment?
Oh, it'd be nice, but it's it's easier said than done. Those jobs are tough to come by, and there's a lot of factors that are involved, not just how good or bad you are as a coach. So, I mean, we're just hoping we can get something in a place that satisfies the family and professional needs for sure. But yeah, I mean, nothing's off the table. I'll look at whatever I can get into, but that's the next thing to do.
I'll probably let some others go, then we move on to Hutchie after, if anyone else has got questions for Scott.
Got Bonnie here at Channel 9. Looking back at your stint overall, I guess, what's the overriding emotion that you have? Is it, are you still glad? Do you think it was worthwhile coming out now knowing it was just for the 1 season, or is there any regret there?
No regrets at all. From a personal side, I learned a lot. I became a lot better coach. Some would say I have a lot more improvement to make, which is fair, but I know that I'm a better coach now than I was when I got there. It was a great experience for myself and our family to live in Australia. We really enjoyed it. And to be honest, I'm not sure that the stuff that is driving us back home, maybe we wouldn't have become aware of it if we had stayed home and bounced around for a season. So I think it was a great move for me. I feel bad that I, didn't deliver, I guess, what our goals were when I was hired for the team. And if there's a regret, it's just that I can't go back and try to meet those goals. But as far as what we did, it was an awesome experience, and I'll be rooting for the guys, and hopefully have a lot of friends that will be there for the rest of our life.
And last one from me, you said it was really hard telling the players. Were there any parting words that stuck with you? Any nice, I'm sure there was lots of nice responses from the players, but any that you're willing to share?
No, I mean, all the guys are pretty positive. I mean, we're not the types to talk about our feelings that much. And I'm sure that me breaking down on the call was, I joked about it. It's not the gritty basketball that Luke Travers has been quoting in his media recently. But like I said, I just keep things honest. And I'm sad to leave. But I just told the guys that it's going to be a lot harder on me than them. They're going to get a great coach because it's a great place to be a coach. It's a great opportunity. So at the end of the day, they're going to be just great. And I'm better off for having met them and worked with them. And we've always kind of tried to joke around serious moments as a team. So I welcome any kind of cracks or digs they can give me, because I know they care and I care about them.
Thanks, Scott.
We go to Hutchie, please.
Yep, fire away.
Hutchie, Craig, on you at the West. You missed the finals. You've lost 3 key staff and a coach. Would you agree or would you concede that this club is in crisis at the moment?
No, not at all, Craig. We've got a really exciting future. We've been investing hard in the team. I understand the impatience of everybody to move to the new era and the absolute expectation of everybody to play in the final series each and every year. But we are in a period of evolution. We are in a period of moving to the next era. It's obviously really sad and unfortunate that Scott is leaving us, because we value him so highly. We would have loved him to coach us this year, and that's a moment in time that is unforeseen and we deal with. But equally, the right thing to do here is to support Scott and his family, and so we get in behind that, and that is what family clubs do. As new owners, understandably, we're going to be held to a high account and to high expectations, and we welcome that. The passion of the Red Army, the unbridled enthusiasm for our team, the strong voices among the fan base is fantastic. It's welcome. And as Scott said, we're in an off-season where we will have a little bit of change and evolution, one of which has been completely unforeseen, obviously, in Scott's situation. But these series of events are not in sequence. They're just timed as they've happened. Scott's situation is peculiar to this time, and we absolutely feel bullish about the team that we can and will build. And we'd ask everyone to judge us on our performance this summer on the floor and not necessarily what happens between now and then, albeit we'll be as active as we possibly can be in the community and even more active in the state of Western Australia to continue to build on the great legacy that we've inherited.
So you talk about evolution and the next year. You've said that you want to integrate the Wildcats into the SEN network. When we were talking about Troy Georgiou the other day, what does that mean? Yeah,
so to clarify that a little bit, that's you're not going to see our on-air radio talent playing basketball, for instance, for lack of a better description. What we mean by integration is this. The Perth Wildcats as a team needs all of our time, effort, energy and support, particularly on the commercial side, to continue to deliver great results for the partners of the team and their aspirations. We need to support the people and the staff. We need to keep investing in the team. And we've continued to do that, Craig, since we began this journey a year ago. We've hired a very qualified and outstanding person in Danny Mills, our GM of basketball operations. We're one of the only clubs, maybe even the only club in the competition that has a full-time GM of basketball operations. We've invested in a director of sports performance, a head of physiotherapy. We've got an associate head coach in Mike Kelly, who's magnificent support. And we're continuing to develop the careers of some of our assistant coaches, one of which is doing a great job in New Zealand in his off-season and continuing to develop his coaching. So, when I mean integrate into the broader business, it means exactly that. Our broader business adding even more support and even more resources to enable this team to start a new era and to get to the next level of success. The NBL is a totally different competition to what it has ever been before, and that is to the greater good of everyone. The league has never been in a greater condition. Audiences are up. Attendance is magnificent. Teams are well funded. There's been NBA investment in the competition. There's been new owners. There's well cashed up teams. Last year we saw really 6 or 7 teams that were fighting in the last round with great performances to be part of the finals. And at 16 and 12, that once upon a time might have been good enough to make the finals, but unfortunately this year it wasn't, despite all the things that we as a team had to go through. So it is vitally important that we respect the legacy and the history. We build upon that and we get even closer to it, as you've seen with things like Damien Martin coming into our radio environment. But we also invest in the future, and that is in new facilities, in new infrastructure, in new support for the team, in new community programs, and to equip this team to have the very best chance that it's ever had of another 35-year run of success in a hotly contested competition that we welcome, but has never been this hotly contested before in recent times. Last year's season was extraordinary, and we expect the standard to go up again this season coming.
So if you're integrating by putting more support around the team, what part of that did Troy Georgiou disagree with? You said that there was a disagreement over the future direction of the club with Troy. I can't imagine he'd disagree that you want to put more support around the team.
Yeah, look, today's not about Troy. We thank him for his 20 years of service. It's not about that role. It's about acknowledging Scott's contribution. But I would answer your question, Craig, for sake of clarity. In broad terms, and without getting into the specifics, there was a lack of alignment between the CEO and where the club and the team and everyone, not just ownership, want to go to get to the next level as a team. That differences of opinion are really healthy in business, and we respect each other's opinions. We spent a year trying to get aligned and on the same page. Ultimately, it didn't end up working out, and so we respectfully moved to a new era. But it's important that we do build upon the great foundations of this club and move forward with greater support, greater investment and greater resource to get it to a whole new level in a very hotly contested competition.
Which becomes higher on the pecking order of trying to get someone employed, a new coach or a new CEO at the moment for you?
Well, they're both really important. In fact, they're the two most important things in our world at the moment, Craig, because they're two very important roles. They're also two magnificent jobs, by the way. And Scott was a magnificent coach, and we're really disappointed today to lose him. We do, however, feel it is a magnificent job. And I think Scott, in his own words, said what a great role it was. We think it's one of the best non-NBA senior coaching jobs in the world. And if you factor in travel and the demands on an NBA senior coach, it might be one of the best coaching jobs in the world. We had an outstanding level of candidates last time. It's a hotly contested city, hotly contested job. And we had a great array of candidates. And ultimately there's I'm sure some great options when the dust settles tomorrow and we start to visit that. We expect to have a lot of interest in the role. We want to equip the team with everything that it needs to build on the fantastic talent bases there. We're obviously active in recruiting like most teams at the moment as well. And then obviously we want to continue to build on the business. And so finding the right leader or leaders to continue to build on that legacy is really important.
There's one last one from me before I throw to others. You couldn't have missed the social media feedback over the past week or so. The fans, a lot of the fans online are certainly saying that you guys shouldn't be the owners anymore. Why are they wrong?
Well, that's the wonderful thing about sport is it's a democracy. Our members are really important. They've been unbelievably loyal to the club and the team. And everyone is entitled to their view and everyone is entitled to express a view as they see fit. I'm not here to dissuade anyone from their view. Our job is to build a club for the next era that they can be proud of. Ultimately, our members and our fans will judge us on that, and so they should. I think it's very early in the phase of building that. We had a season which a lot of things didn't go our way, as Scott articulated. A 16-12 season, being on the road for 64 days, a spate of injuries, a whole bunch of circumstances behind the scenes. But we didn't make it. We should have. We've apologised for that and we've put it behind us. Our job is to build a competitive team that can compete and win championships, which is what we're all here for, and play our role in the community, which is as important, if not more important. You have mine, our commitment that we'll do both. We welcome the feedback. I don't take any offence to the tweets and the Facebook comments. It shows the passion. I don't think there's another club in basketball in Australia that has a fan base that cares this deeply. And that's a magnificent thing. And we've seen other teams in the rest of the country where the events of this week and days like today are not nearly as emotive or as received more broadly by the fan base. And that, to me and to us, speaks to a wonderful passion base of this fan base. It's our job to win their respect. We endeavour to hope to do that as owners by the performances on the floor. And we feel with the investment in quality and calibre identities and Western Australians like Danny Mills and others that will do that for them. But equally, until we win and perform, we totally expect and acknowledge that feedback, and we don't shy away from it.
Actually, Ash Nelson here at Channel 10. Just in terms of a timeline, have you got an idea as to when you will appoint a coach in order to give them the best run as far as the pre-season goes? As Scott touched on, it was pretty hard yakka for him only coming the day before the first pre-season game. So have you got that mapped out?
Yeah, Ash will move quickly. Process starts tomorrow. It'll be a thorough but quick process. There'll be some considered minds who will make a collective decision and engaging all parts of the club. We obviously have a relative understanding of the availability market, given we've only been through this a year ago, and we'll explore those options and others that will inevitably emerge over the next 3 days. But it is important that we move forward quickly and with clarity, and we'll find the best coach that we possibly can to arm us and the Red Army for the years ahead, and that process starts quickly. Equally, we've got a very, very talented and supportive coaching base with associate coach Mike Kelly and with a very talented team of assistants and senior assistants and other basketball staff that have been well nurtured and developed by Scott. And so we feel very confident that it's business as usual in the meantime until we appoint the role. And the same goes for our off-field leader as well. So that will begin quickly.
Someone like Brian Gorget, for example, his name straight away was floated. Is that somebody that you would look to in order to headhunt?
Ash, we wouldn't get into any names in or out or positives or not possibles today. That's not an appropriate time to do it. All I can say is today's about Scott, and our thanks to him and Suzanne for their contribution to our club and for the difficult decision that they've made today. We will explore every possible option on doing our very best to replace Scott and the hole that he leaves, but we will find a great coach, we will build a great team, and that process will explore everyone from tomorrow.
Sorry, just on that, you talk about a new era. Do you look to somebody that maybe encompasses a new sort of era or style for coaching, or do you kind of go back to the well, so to speak, on tried and tested?
I think Ash will explore all options to make the Perth Wildcats the very best basketball team they can be. It won't be us looking for a particular style or a particular method of play. It'll be us looking for the very best coach that's available to coach the Perth Wildcats into the coming seasons.
Thank you.
Good day, Hutchie. It's Justin Chadwick again. Just further to that, do you think you'd probably lean more towards an Australian coach just to avoid any similar situations where you might lose them after 1 or 2 years?
Justin, it's a fair question. We wouldn't rule anyone in or out at this point. We'll explore every available coach. We'll understand their circumstances and we'll explore our needs and we'll find the very best fit.
And also just a word on Luke's NBA ambitions. Obviously, it's an exciting time for him to see if he's going to get picked up. Have you heard any whispers? And if he does get picked up, what do you think the chances are of him being loaned back to Perth?
Well, first of all, he's a fine young man from a wonderful Western Australian family. We're excited for him. I think all his teammates are keeping an eye on his progress on social media, and we're all barracking for him to achieve his dreams, which is all that you can ask for in a team environment, is for someone to be the best player they can at the best level they can be. We really hope for his sake that his dreams are fulfilled, and it's whether it be this year or in subsequent years in the NBA draft. We wish him every bit of success. Equally and selfishly, if he by any circumstance was still available to come back to play for Perth, we'd welcome him with open arms, and we'd look forward to an even better player. And he's such a great person, and we're excited for him no matter what happens.
Yeah, cool. Awesome. Thanks, Hutchie.
I was ask Danny a question, please. Danny, is it a good time to be trying to find a coach around the world at the moment? Like, what's the market like right now when you're looking to make a replacement? Is this a decent time, end of June, or is it a harder time?
Yeah, I don't think there's a time like 2 months after the season that is a great time to be coming into the marketplace. But also, we were in this position last year as well when we took over the position, and we were late to the game, and we had a fantastic pool of candidates that we went through and interviewed, and obviously we were fortunate enough to find Scott out of that group. And I think there's going to be a lot of interest in the job. I think we're excited to start moving on it and seeing what candidates are out there. And as Hutchie said, that process has started.
And does the uncertainty for players or a coach coming in, players without not knowing who a coach is at the moment, not knowing who the CEO is, do those sorts of things make it harder when you're going to the market to try to recruit either a player or a coach?
Not necessarily. I think last year when we signed a couple of players, we still hadn't had a coach in place. There's obviously questions about who it could be and what type of style of gameplay they might play. But I think with what we've shown this year and kind of the staff we already have coming back with Mike and Luke and Keegan and our other assistants, that I think we've got enough in place there. And obviously with the roster having 10 guys signed already, that it's a pretty obvious fit of like what we need to go get talent-wise and where they would fit on the floor. And
with 10 blokes signed already, as you say, do you look for a coach who is suited to what you already have on the floor, or do you look for a coach who you just think is the best coach and he can work out how to make this group work straight away?
Yeah, I think there's a bit of both, but I think at the end of the day, it's the best coach for the Perth Wildcats that fits the culture we want to build, that fits the style we want to play, and is someone that wants to come to Perth and build this club back up to where it was. And that's kind of what we're going to be targeting.
If there's no further questions for Scott or Danny or myself, I might just close by saying thank you to everyone for your time today and for your questions. We appreciate your interest in the Perth Wildcats and thank you for your time. And just want to close by again thanking Scott and Suzanne and their family for their time, effort and contribution to Perth, where it's a sad day for us. I think you can see from Scott how raw it still is for him and how tough a decision it's been for he and his family, but we equally applaud him for his honesty, and he'll always be a welcome and loved figure in Perth. And thanks everyone for making the time today.